Art remains the oldest and the best form of communication ever known to man. Now that's not me, but I can but agree, because where words fail you, art speaks louder. Welcome to the World of Art on Ogtv. I am Miriam Usman. The program is divided into 3 segments. The first segment is where we get to interview a practicing artist who gets to tell us about the art industry, a lot of things you don't know about artwork. And then the second segment is what we call the quotable quotes, where we inspire you to be more with words of wisdom from the world of art. The third segment is where you get to participate on the program by calling us and asking questions to the guests on the program. The World of Art is sponsored by Prince Yemisi Shilon, a legal practitioner, Africa's largest private art collector, grand donor and chairman of Council Omoba Yemisi Museum of Arts. The World of Art will be back shortly. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is World of Art, where we discuss everything and anything about art. Well, today we are having a deep look at visual art from another dimension, one you have not seen before on the program, as we are joined by another amazing artist. He goes by the name ADEOLA Balogun. But just before we proceed with the interview segment, let me give you a little details from his profile. ADEOLA Balogun, who is a PhD holder. He is the current head of department from the Fine Arts Department of School of Arts, Designs and Printing, Yaba College of Technology, Yaba, Lagos. He graduated from Yaba College with specialization in sculpture and had his master's degree in the Fine Arts Department of the University of Benin and his PhD in sculpture from the Delta State University, Abeokuta, Delta State, Nigeria. ADEOLA Balogun has won several awards, and he is here with us today, and he's going to be telling us more about the metallic part of art that you have never seen before. Welcome to the program, Doctor.
Thank you, Miriam, for having me. So, kudos to the good work you're doing.
Thank you so much. You know, our set today is looking beautiful in another way. And I trust our viewers have a lot to ask, because this is another dimension of art that a lot of people have not seen. But just before we go ahead with the questions for today, I was wondering, because I've had several of your colleagues on the program before now, and these colleagues of yours, including you, you've had nothing less than 2 degrees. Is this part of the requirements in practicing arts as a career, or there's more to it?
Thank you very much. I think there's a mix-up there, right? As an artist, certainly, whatever field you are, knowledge is very important. So the constant search for knowledge is very, very important. In our society, people believe that once you're an artist, well, all you do is draw and paint. What else you do? Well, we do more than that, right? Because you have, as an artist, you have a lot to contribute to the society in terms of what you produce, what you project, the ideas, you know. So through this, I mean, you need to actually search for knowledge. So if it requires you going for triple PhD, why not, right? Most especially when you are in an academic environment. That's another thing, right? Because as a practitioner, I also teach art, right? And with that, which means constantly I must develop myself, whether I'm in school or not. as a teacher, as a mentor, as an artist, the need for you to constantly search for knowledge is imperative, right? So whether you are practicing, whether you're a full-time studio artist, even full-time studio, they do a lot of research, not to not talk about you that is impacting knowledge. It is very incumbent on you to constantly develop yourself, because you want to practice, you want to teach what you're practicing, and it's what you have that you can give. You don't give what you don't have. So the need for you to constantly go to the highest peak of searching for knowledge anywhere in the world is very important. And so having more than one degree, I think it's not out of place for artists.
Yes,
aside from the fact that we are a society looking at artists.
Yes, I really think we should preach more of this, because I used to think it's a societal thing to think little of artists as people who are not educated. But I've met with young artists, young and upcoming artists, who felt, art is just about developing the talent and not really about studying or getting more degrees. Well, I guess with this program now, people are learning more to know that there's more and reasons to do more.
Certainly, certainly. I remember when I, opted for art, because initially I wasn't thinking about art as something that I wanted to practice, because in my vicinity nobody was practicing it. So, but one thing I know, that as a toddler, I practiced art. I was drawing, making, sculptures, but I never thought about, taking it up as a career path until my, when I was about to sit for my school cert, right? In fact, in my secondary school, I never attended any classes in art, not until the final moment, just few weeks to the exams. And I just walked into the art studio. We had a very well-equipped art studio, but that was not my mind. What was in my mind, I was thinking of something totally different. So there was this day I just walked into this art studio, and there was a lot of material, so I just picked a sketch pad. There was a class going on, so I joined the class, and by the time I finished my drawing, the teacher came around, and when he saw my drawing, the next thing he did was to invite all the teachers in that school to come and look at the boy that wanted to bury his talent, right? Because he asked me, why do you want to bury your talent? And to cut the long story short, that was a turning point in my choice of career, because I was actually thinking of something else. So why? Because the society, because in fact, when I was given again admission, the question one of my uncles said asked me was that, why art?
Why art?
Amongst all out of all the courses you have in that school, why art? I think that actually made me, because I already made up my mind that I wanted to go for this thing, and that is just it. And with me, once I'm made up my mind that this is what I want to do, I want to give it my all, and here we are today.
Here we are today, indeed. Yeah. I believe a lot of our viewers are asking, what is this? When I came here, I was like, wow, this is different. Yeah. So we have your work currently with us in the studio now. We would want you to tell us something about this and how it works.
Yeah, I think we want to go back a bit to look at what art was, with our progenitors, as our forerunners in the past. You discover that profoundly the material available to the artist, that's what he used. And in this part of, in the West, certainly we have wood. So most of our traditional artworks, you see carvings. Why carvings? That is because that is the material that was available to those artists then, right? But with the advent of industrialization, certainly a lot of materials were available, and because of abundance, we became wasteful, right? So with that, as artists, you now have a lot of artists now decide to, because arts don't just happen in a vacuum. It must, according to Martin Heidegger, German philosopher, an art piece is an embodiment of influences from the society, which entails the material, the concept, the ideas. Everything about the work is influenced by the society. So if you look at around us, you discover that everything we're doing nowadays is being, influenced by technology. We're in digital age, right? Everything we do, we're talking about in finance, in medicine, in education, everything, right? So I became attracted to the internal components of electronics. There was I go to the junkyard to pick things, and I saw this flat screen TV that's been disemboweled. I said, well, bringing out all the components in it, and I became attracted to that. Well, what happened to this TV? It was because it has become it has developed fault. That was why the owner disposed it. And with that, we're able to see the internal component. That is the circuit boards and other things like that, just like you have there. You have them out there. And I now link that to what is happening with a society regarding the internet, the social media. You and I, we are all using this, our handset and other gadgets. It's because of the fact that one way or the other, technology has made it available to us. On a click of a button, you can actually link to the world. You can get to know about what is happening in every part of the world in real time, right? So to me, this became a profound, a metaphor regarding the situation we are in. Because whether you like it or not, it has altered us. In fact, that was what actually informed the title of my recent exhibition, which I titled Transmogrification, that we've been altered, our ways have been altered by technology, right? So for instance, if you look at what you have here now, it's a
combination of a whole lot.
Yes, it's well, you have what's it called, weather steel, forming the horns of the bull. You have the crane hooks, right? And around it we have the electronic panels forming the body and as well as the head of the bull. If you look at bull is a formidable animal, right? And if you look at the symbol of stock market, for instance, the flow of market, it is represented by two animals. You have the bull and the bear. When the market is rising, it becomes bullish, and when it's coming down, when the prices are coming down, you're talking about bearish. So it's by we won't say it's a share because it deliberately this particular animal is not being used, and not in finance alone, right? In other, even in some cultures across the globe, for instance, to some cultures, it's a sacred animal. You can't, touch it. It's revered, for instance, in India, and some other parts of some other cultures. But here, I'm now looking at it vis-a-vis what it represents, what it stands for, right? Which means I'm now using to allude to the power of technology in our lives, because it has virtually taken over, our world.
Wow.
So
this is a whole lot to, to understand. And thank God we have you today, and we still have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But let us go on this break where we get to see more of your work from your studio. So yes, stay with us. We will be back shortly. Let's take a trip to ADEOLA Balogun's studio.
It is actually made of welded metal and discarded electronic panel. It's actually interrogating the notion of Electronics has taken over almost every aspect of our life. If you look at the image beside me here, you discover that it's a representation of a female figure taking a selfie. She's captured at the peak of that excitement of taking selfie. So this is what is actually trending now. Everybody wants to take a selfie. So, and as an artist, I find it pertinent to actually bring this into discourse here. The next work here is it's a series actually, which I titled Drum of Honor. And occasionally when drums are rolled out, it's for the purpose of celebrating, one thing or the other. And especially when chieftaincy titles are given, drums are rolled out to celebrate such person. In the past, certainly, people that will be celebrated will be people who have actually contributed meaningfully into the society. But I think the reverse is the case now, whereby all sort of undesirable elements are being celebrated, they are being given chieftaincy titles. What is trending now is, the deeper your pocket, the more you are celebrated in the society.
Welcome back. Wow, that was an amazing one from ADEOLA Balogun Studio. I trust you've seen a whole lot from that. I'd like to remind you that World of Art is streaming through all our social media platforms. You can join in on the conversations, ask questions, and of course the phone lines will be open soon. You can also call to ask our guest questions on the program. So, Doctor, that video we saw was quite a lot. I mean, the first one was a lady kind of image. Does that mean you can do anything with these panels?
Well, certainly there are two things that could attract an artist to a particular. It could be the form, or the symbolic, interpretation that is capable of being derived from the material, right? So, if you look at this, for instance, the use of the panel. Certainly, it has to do with the fact that I'm particular about the symbolism, and they come in multi-layered, form. The lady you talked about, yes, it's a semi-realistic work. You can also say it's a stylized piece. It's a lady captured. The title is Selfie. With the advent of your iPhone, Android, every now and then we take our selfie, So, and I look at, the excitement that, encapsulate, ladies especially when they're taking their selfie, you'll see that on them. So that actually, informed that particular piece about how we easily get carried away by that particular action, because they can take selfie anyway.
You are not wrong. Honestly, you're saying the truth. Okay, so we also saw where you were working, and I think you were doing some form of welding work. Did you also learn this thing while building your career? Is it important to know that part if you want to go into this kind of art?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think as an artist, especially a sculptor, I specialize in sculpture. The need for you to actually have deep knowledge of materials and technique is very, very, it's a special course on its own that you must take, techniques and materials, and with that, you have to explore different materials, different, machines, tools to work those things. So as a student, yes, there's a course you take, and I took. Then at that stage you might not be able to, because all you were taught is how to handle those things. But to be proficient in it, certainly you must. It depends on where your passion lies. right? If you are interested in a particular material, certainly you want to get all the tools, right? But as a sculptor, they need for you to be well equipped with carpentry tools and machine, whether all sort of machines, you need it for your practice. So right from your student days, you must have acquired this and continue to upgrade it, because in those days the welding machine you have are quite different from what you would have now. So constantly you must be on your toes in the acquisition of these tools, because these are the things that you're going to need for your business.
Okay, so talking about comparison of what we have in those days and what we have now, you're currently the head of department of the particular department you finished from, and now you're the head of that department. What can you describe the study of arts in tertiary institution using your College of Technology as a case study?
Yeah, I think I constantly have issues with my students regarding the fact that each time you step into the studio, what you have is you have them carrying around is their handset. So technology has brought that serious distraction. We're still talking about technology. So in those days there was nothing like that, right? If you want to, in those days I make out like 2 days in a week to go to the library. But today, once you open your handset, you can read online, right? So like I used to tell my mentees, it depends on what you actually want to do with your handset. And if you want to be distracted by it, right, it's up to you, right? In the past, in those days, certainly we run after our lecturers to seek for knowledge, but today you have the mentors running after the mentees, because they hardly concentrate, right? So the need for us to actually, you have to be on them, on their shoulder for you to get them to do what they're supposed to do, right? So unlike before, where in the past you have to be there, you'll be the one seeking for knowledge, and you discover that the power of technology, the effect of technology is actually playing out here, right? And I always tell them that it depends on what you're using your gadgets for. The internet is a landmine and a gold mine.
Yes, it can destroy you.
Exactly, it depends on what you're looking for.
Okay, so we have this question on Facebook. The person is asking if you have students you teach. So I don't know if aside teaching as education,
whether you as before they're becoming the HOD, because it's not as if we employ a different person to head the department. We have member of staff, the academic staff heading the department. So before you become the HOD, you're taking some classes. So you continually that your workload will be reduced. So I still take my students.
Okay, so we will be wrapping up now because time is not by our side. On this final note, there's a question again from Facebook. Maybe you use that to round up on the program. Did your parents discourage you when you start this artwork?
Well, like I said earlier on, it wasn't an easy journey for me, right? Because my parents, I told you about an uncle who was asking me that, why art, right? So the support was not there, and I think that was what actually, geared me up to say, look, I've chosen this path, and I must make something good out of it. So it's about determination. It's about you. Once you've chosen a path, like I always say, if you see anybody studying art, he or she was not compelled to study it. It's an art of conviction, right? So once you have the conviction that, oh, you've chosen this path, then you must put in your best. And I want to tell you, there are a lot of prospects.
Okay, I think we have a caller.
Okay.
Femi from Abeokuta, thank you for calling us.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I would like to ask Dr. Balogun a question.
Go ahead, please. Make it quick.
Yeah, how do you think we could encourage some other young artists to pick art as a discipline? That's number one. Then how do you think we could encourage them to sell their artwork? Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Did you get that,
Yeah,
Doctor?
to encourage, well, I think I want to say that we have more, youth taking to art, wanting to enroll for art. Why? Because of the fact that they could see that you can make success out of this, right? So, and that was why I said that, look, it's not that, first the talent there, right? Once the talent is there, what I always tell them that, look, learn all the rules, right? And once you learn all the rules, the world is yours. Because in contemporary art, we're always striving for identities, you want to be different.
Yes.
And there are a lot of, ways through which you can do that. Right. What was the second question? I think there's about how we can.
Yes.
Yeah. First, for students, anybody who is willing to, mentorship is very, very important. Mentorship is very important.
Very important.
And
we have to go now. We really have to go. So, Femi, there you go. Mentorship is very, very important, and we trust you've had an amazing time with us. Time is not by our side. But just before we wrap up, I want to say thank you for sticking with us today on the program. And yes, thank you, Doctor, for making it through the whole process to tell us more about art in a different dimension.
It's my pleasure.
Welcome, sir. The program is World of Art, where we discuss everything and anything art. I am Miriam Usman. Until I see you next week, stay safe. Bye for now.